Hi everybody, it's Mike here from Chef Greg Cat's Kitchen. I want to say hello and let you know that today I'm going to be making shrimp and mussel étouffée, which basically means to be smothered in a sauce. So, starting out, I will prep things, get them ready. We will make a shrimp stock and then we will make the étouffée. Alright, see you in a few minutes. Bye bye. Okay, for the shrimp stock, basically we have 1 pound of jumbo shrimp, which I've peeled and deveined, and we save the shells. Always save the shells because there's so much flavor in these shells, you'd be amazed. We have 1 carrot diced, 1 bunch of scallions cut up, 2 celery stalks diced, and 1 small onion diced. Now what I'm going to do is in my small Dutch oven pot, I'm going to put a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil. We're going to fry these and let them get aromatic, and then we will add our ingredients here along with 3 cups of chicken stock and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I'll show you that when it happens as I do it on the stove. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. The little Dutch oven there is heated up with a couple of tablespoons of oil in it. The oil is shimmering, which means it's hot enough. So now we're going to add our beautiful shrimp shells. And you can hear, you can see how they're turning beautifully red and pink. That's exactly what you want. You want these to fry up nicely. We'll give them 1 to 2 minutes. I'll let them fry like that. Oh, you can smell the thing. And a lot of people don't realize, you know, the peels and, excuse me, the shells have a lot of nutrition and a lot of flavor. And I saved 1 last shrimp to peel because I want to show you how to get them off with the tail intact. So while I'm doing this, I'm breaking apart the shell. Okay, now these have been split and deveined, so what I can do is pull off the shell. Okay, now I've got my tail here. So what I do is I just give it little tugs, loosen it up, then grab the big fins, give them tugs, and they get a little slippery. And darn it, this one didn't work. But I'm getting the meat out of the tail regardless. And there's our tail meat. And that goes in with my bowl of shrimp. Okay, 1 more shell for the pot. See how they're beautifully pink and orange? That's the way your shells should look. Okay, what I'm going to do now, while that's cooking, I'm going to open up this wonderful thing of chicken stock. Okay, that's ready to go. Quick sip of my cocktail, which tonight is a 7 and 7. And I'm enjoying that. Okay, we are ready for the onions. And the carrots. Boy, that's fragrant. That is nice. We're going to let that cook just a minute. And we'll check the focus on the camera here. There we go. That's a little sharper detail. Let's see if we can't zoom in a little bit. Oh yeah. Okay. Now you've got a good look at our wonderful shells. Our onions are getting translucent, so that's a good indication that we can add the celery. And this is the type of dish you want to have everything pretty much prepped so that you just add and cook, because the actual cooking times are not that bad. This stock here that we're making will take about 20 minutes, 25, and then the étouffée will take about 10 to 15 minutes total. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I just got to get that open. Okay, there's about 1. And there's about 2. Put that aside. And we're going to coat everything with it. Get back in there, Mr. Celery. And the thing we're doing is basically just browning it, coating these shells. We don't want to ever burn the shells. That's why I'm keeping this at a medium heat. They got nice and fried and released their flavors when we dropped them in the hot oil. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 cups of chicken stock. Get out my trusty measuring cup. There's 2. And number 3. I'm going to give that a good stir. And then we'll put the lid back on the pot. And then let that cook. Now, the recipe doesn't call for it, but I like to add a shot of pepper here. Just because pepper brings out such nice flavors in everything. And it's freshly ground. And you'll notice I'm wearing my chef's smock today which I haven't been able to wear in probably about 10 years because I was too fat. When I came down with cancer, I was 246 pounds, and now I'm 178. So I can actually wear my smock again. I bleached it, washed it, and it's comfortable to be in again. I'm kind of liking that. So, anyway, I've added some pepper. My heat is still on medium. I'll check it in a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to reduce it, the temperature, to basically do a nice simmer for 20 minutes. I'll come back and show you when it's boiling, and I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, now that our shrimp stock is at a nice gentle boil, I turned the stove down to medium-low. I'm going to let this sit for about 20 minutes and just do its thing. Let all those flavors combine and basically marry each other. And then we will strain it and drain it and begin on the étouffée. Alright, I'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm back. Anyway, our stock has cooked down, and I've let it cool for about 10 minutes. Pot's still pretty hot, but I'll show you what it looks like. There's our stock, and what we're going to do is we're going to pour it into a strainer. And then what I'm going to do is basically mash it to get all the juice out of the vegetables and the shells and what you have it. So, okay, let me grab one from over here. Okay, got a nice spoon. And I'm mashing it to get all the liquid out. This also imparts a lot more flavor. You get the flavors from the shells, from the celery. Okay, we'll let that cool before we toss it out. So, here we have our stock. And that's going to be a key ingredient in our étouffée, which I'm about to begin. I'll be back in a minute. I've got to get some butter heated and get the pot heated. And then we'll begin to cook. Okay, see you in just a little bit.
Yesterday. Now it continues to kind of churn around.
Okay, I'm back and I want to show you something. Oh, well,
we're seeing sort of a mixture of
if you've got a mussel that's open and you tap it, it will close if it's still alive, and that's how you know it's good.
Of everything.
That one was open before I put it before the
especially
camera,
around the Boston area. So this continues to be the case throughout tonight and through part of tomorrow. This is what's left of the system as it's already dropped several inches.
Okay, this one is open, and now you can see it's closing.
Possibly another foot of snow.
I tap it, and it continues to close, and that's how you know it's alive. If you've got any that are open that don't close on you, throw them away because they're dead. And you definitely do not want to eat a dead mussel. It will make you sick. So anyway, I got one down and a half mussels. I've removed the beards, soaked them, washed them, and they're cleaned up. Now we're going to start the étouffée food. And we're going to start with a 1/4 pound of butter. I'm going to dice it up so it melts easier. And we're going to let it all foam up.
Breakfast won't be bad. Try just crack an egg. Packed with real potatoes, veggies,
And to that,
for a hot scramble in less than 2 minutes.
we're adding 6 cloves of garlic, large cloves, and that's been minced. Put it on the teapot there. Get that stirred around. Let that get aromatic. We don't want to burn it.
May increase your risk of infections and lower your ability.
Give that about 30.
Tell your doctor if you have an infection
40 seconds.
or if you had a vaccine or plan to.
Then the recipe calls for 1 medium onion, but I tend to like a lot of onions, so I've got a large onion, like the kind I used in our French onion soup.
You guys who tend to get raisin points from ordinary raisins at home. So when they can't see me, there's
It took 2
a razor that's made different and designed just for men with skin that's easily
of
irritated.
these little jars
It
here.
flattens the skin and lifts the blade for
Actually,
shade. It's closer than a
bowls,
trim, but not too
2 of
close
my
for
small
comfort.
bowls.
I mean, it's just right.
To house that onion. And we're going to let that sit and cook until it's becoming translucent, probably about a minute, minute and a half. I know you don't want to sit and watch onions cook, so I'll shut the camera off. But before I go, we're also going to add, normally you'd put 3 very large bay leaves or large bay leaves. I've only got small ones, so I've got 5 of them. And we're going to let those cook up. We're also going to add 1 teaspoon or half teaspoon of celery seed that I've ground up in my mortar and pestle.
Such as fevers, sweats, chills, nasal aches, or coughs, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
We'll get that going. Okay, now
Now is the time to ask your dermatologist about Skyrizi.
These folks, they don't have time to go to the post office. They have businesses.
we'll let that cook for a few
Customers to
minutes.
care for,
And I'll come back
lives to get home to. They use stamps.com.
NewsNation reporter Mike Sullivan.
Okay, our onions are now translucent. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 cup of tomato paste. And basically after taking the 2 heavy tablespoons for our stock, we've got a cup left in this 12-ounce can.
I guess a new term
So,
for maybe an old thing.
Called a Grinch box. Programs decide to buy hot products like a PS5 or a new Xbox, snapping them the moment they are released online.
What I'm most familiar with this concept in is with ticket sales.
Doug Coons is a former FBI agent, now a private investigator with Veracity IR.
People could set up programs that would
now what I'm going to
go
do
on
here
to
is
Ticketmaster
let this cook
or
for a minute to
Live Nation or whatever it
3.
is and buy up all the tickets, and then they scalp
And we're going to kind of let it brown up
Following the Bots Act
before we add any
2016.
more ingredients.
There's no real legislation that says no to e-commerce.
And it may seem like I had a lot of butter, but you know, everything's better with butter.
Bill has been proposed.
And that's my motto.
Yet these programs continue
And
to harm the
so,
average consumer,
probably should have
raising
called the
prices on
cooking
resale
channel instead of
market.
Mike's
That is, unless you
or Chef Great Cat's
buy
Kitchen.
yourself.
Well, my first piece
Everything's
of
better
advice
with
is
butter.
do so at your
But anyway,
risk and be very, very careful.
here we are.
Well, they may be easy to find
Okay.
online.
The
Is
onions,
understanding and distinguishing
everything else is well incorporated.
genuine bot software from counterfeit.
And now I'm just going to let it cook for 2 to 3
software that's
minutes.
designed to just steal your information.
Coons say some websites have
And I
found ways
will
to block them.
and that's why they created these captchas.
You may
come back
recognize
to you
them as a phrase to type or a grid of pictures.
After that's
Click on
browned up a
everything
little
that's got a
bit.
crosswalk in it.
It
Okay, it's been about 2 or 3 minutes. Sorry about the TV being on in the background, the last frame. I just forgot to mute it. Anyway, we browned this up. And as you can see, got some nice little bits on the bottom. And as soon as we add our other ingredients, those will all come and add flavor. And that's how you brown up your sauce. And that's the beautiful thing about these Dutch ovens that are ceramically lined. This one's from Lodge, and I've had it for years, and think I mentioned in another video that my wife got it for me for a Christmas present. It's a beautiful thing. Now we're going to add to it 2 stalks of celery, and I've sliced them thin. We're going to add, this is a bunch of scallions, and I'm going to add about 3/4 of them. And I kept the whites on top because I want to use the greens for garnish. Okay. Now we'll mix those in. And don't worry, I'm putting the full recipe as well as instructions in the description part of this video. So you'll just have to scroll down and you can copy it, paste it, print it, and you'll have it. Okay, now that those are incorporated, we will add 2 tablespoons of hot sauce. Now this is a red pepper hot sauce. It's not like a sriracha, super burn your mouth hot sauce. I don't tend to like things that numb my palate. I like to be able to taste my food. If it's spicy, I want to taste the spice, but I don't want it burning. And so we got 2 tablespoons of, I think it's Tampico hot sauce. I'll look at the bottle as I rinse this little dish out. It's Tapatio. Sorry, Tapatio. Okay, now that we have that in there, we are ready for our stock. Okay, here's the beautiful stock that we made earlier. We'll bring those oils and those flavors all in. Okay, we'll give that a stir. Okay. Alright, now we'll add our salt and pepper. And this is a bunch of thyme. Now what I've done is I've taken some thread and tied it all together because you sure as heck don't want to dump all these sprigs of thyme in there and have to strip the leaves and try to get them out. So you take your thing of thyme and submerge it. Tie it together, tie the bunch together. That's one package that I got in the store. It was $2. Okay, this is starting to boil, so I'm going to reduce it down to medium low. The thyme is in there. We're going to add our salt. And that's 1 teaspoon of salt. And we've got a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. I did that with my big cheap mill. Okay, now we're just going to let these simmer. Our Étouffée sauce simmer, and then we'll come back. It's going to be about 10 minutes. We're going to let it cook down and let it incorporate all those flavors. Can't wait till I get my new gas stove. And anyway, let me get a lid. And now would be about the time you'd put your pot on for your rice. If you're doing jasmine rice, it takes about 20 minutes to cook. So you'd be right about perfect timing. Or your pasta water. I'm cooking this and probably not going to eat. Still have the effects of the chemo, but I'll see what happens. I might get hungry later. Anyway, for now, we're going to let that cook for about 10 minutes and I'll be back. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to remove the bowl of thyme. Try to get as much sauce out of it as I can. And tell your guests and your participants in the meal. The bay leaf might be in your... There's two. We'll find the other three. Well, there's number 3. Oh, there's number 4. And I see number 5. Okay, so I don't have to worry about that. No bay leaves at the table, but do tell your guests to watch out for them if you can't find them. And anyway, okay. Now it's time to add our mussels. I've got 1.5 pounds of mussels. And like I said, they've been cleaned, washed. You flick them twice and they close up completely. And now they're going. Yep, closed, closed, closed. See if that one closes. Let me tap it with a metal spoon. That usually... Okay, that one is suspect, so we're not going to chance it. That goes to the garbage. That one I will pick up and rinse. Everybody else here is looking pretty good. So, into our sauce they go. I'm going to turn the heat up just a bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to let them cook for 2 to 3 minutes. And we'll check them and see if they've all opened. And if they have, then we'll move on to adding our shrimp. And our étouffée will be almost done. Let me get my wayward mussel. There we go. Okay. Into the sauce you go. Okay, I will now put the cover back on. One thing about Dutch ovens, you always need to have a bunch of pot holders because these lids and these pots, the handles get hot, the tops get hot. They can be hard to handle if you don't have pot holders or gloves. You don't want to be burning yourself. Now for our garnish. When you serve this over the rice or over the pasta, you want to put a little bit of parsley. And you want to put a little bit of celery hearts and leaves. Now when I buy a bunch of celery, I make sure that there's plenty of leafy center, because this makes a great garnish. It's tasty, it's a wonderful flavor. So I've pulled the celery heart out and the leaves, and I've chopped them up, and we're going to use that as half of our garnish, or a third of our garnish. And last but not least, we'll use our scallion greens as the final topping for everything. And again, you can serve this over jasmine rice, you can serve it over pasta. It's your call, you know, just depends upon your mood and what your family likes. So anyway, there's two more things we're going to add just before we're done. And actually one more thing just before we're done. And first we're going to let this cook for a few minutes. Let me take a quick glance. Okay, some of them are starting to open. I'm going to turn the heat up a touch because they were cold. Being in a cold water bath and being cleaned and kept refrigerated all day. But they were very nice mussels. I only had one bad one, and I can't complain about that. So, it is what it is. And let me just look at it real quick. Yep, that's a bad one. So into the garbage he goes. But 1 out of 1.5 pounds is not bad. And again, the full recipe will be posted along in the description with this video when I'm done. And basically the last ingredient is a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And then you take the other half of the lemon, because that's half a lemon, and you take the other half and you cut it into little wedges and put your hot sauce on the table, put your lemon wedges on the table, and with your rice bed and plenty of seafood on top. Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. Okay, let me check on these. Oh, starting to open. You can see that's open. You know, they're getting there. I'll give them a stir. Turn them up a little bit more. And now you know why they call them étouffée. It's because everything is smothered. Alrighty. I'd say about 1 more minute on that. I want to show you some really cool little forks. My wife got these last year when we were at, well, not last, yeah, beginning of 2019, before she passed. But we were at my favorite place, Salvation Army Thrift Store, and they had these little cocktail forks, and you know, they had 6 of them for 50 cents. So she grabbed them, and they're just way cool. I like them because they're perfect for getting the mussel out of the shell. They're not too big, they're not too bulky. You just put them in there, twist, and pull out your mussel, and you're good to go. So, if you ever see them at the thrift store, or, you know, I wouldn't say go online and buy them and pay the ridiculous prices that they want, but yeah, they're a pretty good thing to pick up if you can find them cheap. All right, let's open the pot. How are we doing here? Oh yeah, everybody's starting to open up nice. You can see this one, that's cooked, that's cooked. Others are cooking down there. Alright, I'd say about another 1 minute to 2 minutes and all of our mussels will be properly cooked. They'll still be tender. They'll be done properly and safely. And then we'll add our shrimp as the final ingredient, and then we will add our lemon juice. And the rest of the ingredients will be to garnish, like I said, when you serve. And I didn't make the side dishes because, like I said, I don't have an appetite. You can package this in mason jars and basically reheat it in a pot till it just starts to simmer. You don't want to overcook it, and then serve it again. And this will keep in your fridge for a couple of days, you know, because you do have seafood in there. And you know, the mussels and everything else, they're not the greatest at staying fresh for weeks, that's for sure. You can also freeze it in freezer bags and then just defrost it, heat it, and cook it, and that'll last up to 2 to 3 months in a freezer bag. So just to let you know, the directions that I post online are servings for 4 to 6 people, adults, and I've made that much here. I'm gonna contact some of my nurse friends and customers, and former customers, excuse me, but and see if they'd like a meal, and I'll deliver it tomorrow, and hopefully everybody will be happy. Anyway, enough of me jabbering on. Oh yeah, everybody's starting to open up. Big time. I'm going to give this about 1 more minute before I add the shrimp. Maybe 2. Anyway, I'll get back to you once all the mussels have opened completely, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm back. It's been a couple of minutes, and alright. Okay, yeah, there we are. All of those, all these mussels, they're nicely open. That means they're cooked well. And we're in good shape. Okay, so they're done properly. Now we'll add our shrimp. This is our pound of colossal shrimp, including tails. And we'll get those underneath the sauce. Get them smothered like the Étouffée says. And gosh, I've splashed all over the place, haven't I? I have to do a quick clean while these cook. Okay. The shrimp are in there. Our mussels are done. They'll be perfect by the time the shrimp are done. Put the lid back on, and we'll see in a couple of minutes when everything is finished up here. I'm going to clean up a bit, and we'll add the last ingredient just at the end. Okay, see you in a few.
Likely increase. Here we are with elevated fire danger tomorrow. All of Los Angeles down to the Mexican
I'm back.
border. And these are
Shrimp are done. It's been about a minute and a half. You see how they're nice and pink, and well, they're pink because of the sauce. But you don't want them to curl up too much. And that's it. Now this comes off the heat. We're gonna
today. Again, we
We'll
still
move
have
it.
one that's burning, but as we
You'd
head
let
into
it sit
days,
for a
you'll
couple of
see
minutes,
red before we could see
you know,
new
3
fires
to 5 minutes.
develop. Meanwhile,
And then
the end of this winter storm, but it's
you
still
serve
bringing
it.
a lot of headaches to those areas. We'll go through that.
over your rice
All right, Gerard, thank you.
or your angel hair or whatever pasta you choose to use or whatever rice you choose to use.
Fires. What you need to know after the break.
Okay, and as you notice, I'm not putting the lid back in because I want it to cool down. I don't want to overcook the shrimp or the
It's easy to
mussels.
forget to use your vision benefits
Let's
to fool
let it
yourself.
cool.
This is us making sure you don't.
5 minutes and you know, 10 to 20 minutes before you try to package it. And the last ingredient that we're going to add while it's cooling
Prilosec OTC
is
uses
our
a
1.5
unique delayed release
tablespoons
formula that works to turn down
of
acid
lemon
production,
juice.
blocking heartburn at the source. With just 1 pill a day, you get
I'll give it a
24-hour
quick
heartburn
stir.
protection. Take the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge and see the difference
Oh,
for
that is
yourself.
nice.
Prilosec OTC.
So,
1 pill
here
a
you
day,
have it.
24
Shrimp and
hours,
mussel.
0 heartburn.
Étouffée,
At University of Phoenix,
as the
you can
French
earn
would
your
say,
degree faster and for
and
less. With
basically
relevant life experience
shrimp and mussels
eligible
smothered in
transfer credits.
sauce.
Because your
So,
experience
enjoy.
matters.
Again,
See
garnish
how
with
much
your
you can
chopped
save on your
celery,
degree at Phoenix.edu.
hearts, your parsley, and your chives. Or, excuse me, scallions. Green scallions, and put lemon wedges and hot sauce on the table if somebody wants to spice it up.
Delivered right to your door. Save on all your
That's it for now from Chef Grey Cat's Kitchen. I bid you all love,
Real people.
and I hope you enjoy the recipe. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
With less eczema, you can show